stories have been being told, I've been reflecting on a time that luck worked in my favor. So I'll share a little anecdote with you about something positive that happened to me when things went my way. I was at work. This is about 4 or 5 years ago when my kids were still in elementary school. And I was at work as an office manager, and I was finishing up my day trying to get home to meet them before they got home for the day, because we hadn't gotten them house keys yet, and they didn't have cell phones yet. So I really needed to be home by the time they got there. And it was Friday afternoon, and it was my job to take the office trash out every Friday before I left. So I packed up my bags and grabbed the trash out of the trash can. And I walked outside to the parking lot, and I threw my work bag and everything in the car because the dumpster was clear across the other side of the parking lot past another building. So I walked the trash down to the dumpster, and I got down there and I opened the dumpster, and it was pretty heavy because it was a whole week's worth of trash. And I heaved the trash bag up into the dumpster, and I made it on the first try, and I got the trash in there. And I looked down at my empty hand and realized that my car keys had gone into the dumpster with the bag of trash, which was not good timing because, as I mentioned, I was trying to get home within the next 5 minutes to be there to greet my kids. And I wasn't really worried that anything was going to happen to them. I had always been there. I was worried that they would be worried and panicked that I was dead or something because I was always there for them. So I started to weigh my options, and I looked in the dumpster, and fortunately, the dumpster had just been emptied. So the only thing in there was my bag of trash and my car keys, and I could see them right there at the bottom of the dumpster, which was way better than them getting covered in coffee grounds and old lunch containers and sandwich wrappers and things like that. So I thought that I could probably get myself into the dumpster because there was a ledge on the outside that I could climb, or I could do a running start and vault in, Mary Lou Retton style. But when I looked at the inside of the dumpster, it was completely smooth. There were no ledges or seams or anything to use to get myself out. And I wasn't 100% certain that if I went in the dumpster, that I would be able to get myself out again. And that seemed even worse than not getting home in time for my kids, because then other people would come along and put trash on top of me, and eventually I would die in there, and the dumpster would get emptied, and I would just spend eternity in a landfill, and then I would end up on an episode of Unsolved Mysteries, and no one would ever know what happened to me. So I decided I needed a better plan. So I looked all around the parking lot, trying to find an old coat hanger or consider ripping off a tree branch, something that I could use to reach in and get my keys out. And I can't, there's nothing. The parking lot is completely clean, like the Boy Scouts had just been there cleaning up everything. I can't find anything to use. So I think, well, I'll just call a neighbor and ask them to go meet my kids. Then I realized my cell phone is in my car. So I can't call the neighbor. So I think, well, let me go into my office and I'll call a neighbor from there. And I realized that all of my neighbors' phone numbers are programmed into my phone, and I have not memorized any of my contacts' phone numbers. I could still tell you my best friend's phone number from 3rd grade, 322-4479, but for some reason I know nobody's phone number from the 21st century because they're all saved in my contacts. I have no reason to memorize them. So I can't call anybody. My husband's out of town on business. I don't know what to do. I'm starting to hyperventilate. I'm trying to think, should I just walk home and get the kids? But then at that point, they'll probably have gone to a neighbor's. Then I'm going to be running like a wild goose chase, trying to figure out which neighbor's house they went to. And I'm really starting to panic here, and I don't know what to do. So I decided I'm just going to go back in my office and talk to somebody with a cool head and get them to tell me what to do. So as I'm passing the dumpster to go back into my office and get some help, out of the corner of my eye, I see a little stick at the back of the dumpster, and it looks like all of the bark has been whittled off, and it has this thumb, like this protrusion, kind of in the shape of a hook. And I pick up the stick and I go back to the dumpster, and on the very first try, I pull out my car keys. No big deal. And I went home and everything was fine. But before I did, I was sure to leave the stick for the next person who came along and did the same thing. So that was my situation when luck was very kind to me in my life.